WNST, Towson, Baltimore, and WNST.net. It was a busy Tuesday night for any local sports fan that had a remote control. First off, the Caps and the Terps getting it going at 7:30. Excuse me, the Caps getting it going at 7:30. The Terps and the Bullets. Did I say Bullets? I meant Wizards getting it going at 7 o'clock. I'm all confused. It's a time warp. 3 for 3 on Tuesday night. My remote's worn out. So's my patience, and the Capitals were bound to lose at some point. It was a snowy night in Ottawa, Canada, and my man Ed Frankovic joining us here. We're still waiting for the Caps to score in Ottawa. They did not in a 3-0 loss. We've gotten together like 14 straight times and praised their play, even when they've lost in overtime. This was the game we all feared, right? The back end of a road swing on a cold night, and just nothing worked for them on Tuesday night, right?
Yeah, Monday you and I talked, and we said this was the game we were worried about. This is when it might catch up to them, and you used the words worn out there a minute ago. Yeah, they were worn out, and I felt worn out watching the game. It was 16th game in 29 days. What's the old Han Solo line? It's not the years, baby, it's the mileage. Well, the mileage caught up with the Capitals on Tuesday night.
Say that again, 16 games in 29 days. I'm surprised that's legal according to the Players Association, right?
Yeah, I mean, this is a function of the World Cup of Hockey delaying the start of the season, and then this new thing that they agreed to, this bye week. So guess what happens? Everything else gets compressed. So we're sitting on, January 24th was when they lost to Ottawa. They played 48 games. They got 34 games to go. There's about, 68 days left or so till April 12th or 13th when the season ends. So they're going to be playing every other day again, but they got a bye week in there. So there's going to be a bunch of back-to-backs. They got Thursday night in Jersey and then All-Star break. And Tuesday they come right out and they're playing the Islanders, and then they got a game the next night.
Well,
so
at least most of the team gets the weekend off this weekend, other than Ovechkin and Holtby, right? And we're kind of shocked that there aren't more players on this team going to that function this weekend, right?
Yeah, thankfully they make sure there's a player from every team, so it's actually a good thing. I mean, it's out in Anaheim. So
yeah.
The guys, Ovechkin and Holtby, got to go cross country and back. I mean, that's not a good thing at all for those two guys. So you're going to see Grubauer play that first game out of the break for sure. But it's the All-Star game. You got to promote it. The league's big on it. It's big for the kids, they say. Remember Ovechkin got suspended last year because he had the injury and he didn't go, so he had to sit a game afterwards, and that's just the rules. And so he's going, and I think, believe it or not, I actually flipped over and was between the Caps and Senators game, checking in on the Islanders and the Blue Jackets and the Penguins and the Blues, and both of those teams chasing the Caps lost last night, so they didn't lose any ground in the standings. But they were talking, I caught a glimpse on the NBC, they're talking about Crosby. It's like only his second All-Star game in a long time because he's always hurt. So and he's missed a few too. So you're going to have Ovechkin and Crosby at the All-Star game this weekend for the first time, and boy, you have to go back a long time for that.
Well, let's talk about the Ottawa game. In some sort of spirited fashion. Condon was great in net. I mean, I don't think there's any doubt about that. But we didn't even see it. Didn't even look like the same team out there, quite frankly. I mean, the passes weren't crisp. I mean, certainly the penalties were all of sort of the clutch and grab and hopeless variety. And, they wound up, Ovechkin wound up getting into a beef, with a guy half his size. I mean, it was one of those nights where they should have just stayed here and kept their passports in their pockets, I think.
Yeah, it was terrible, Ness. It started bad. Ovechkin, 36 seconds in, Ovechkin takes the slash from Phaneuf. Got a dirty slash. Phaneuf's a dirty player. I'm going to come right out and say that. That guy, he plays hard, but he's dirty, too. And
he's been dirty everywhere. He was dirty in Toronto, as I remember it.
Yeah, Toronto, Calgary. That guy's got a lot of talent, but I worry about it. And what's the old Nuke LaLoosh line? He's got a 5-cent head. I think that you can put that on Dion Phaneuf because he should be a lot better than he is, that guy with the talent he has. But I don't think he plays the game smartly. But so they give up a shorthanded goal. When they play that 1-3-1 on the power play, if they make a mistake on the right wall, they're going to give up the shorthanded break because Ovechkin sliding down towards the circle, and that's what happened. And Ottawa did a great job of picking up that pass. You talked about the fatigue. The passes were not crisp. And when you're scoring a lot of goals, what the Capitals been doing when they've been going to the net with that mentality of we're going to get there, we're going to outwork you to the front of the net, it takes its toll. And you could see the Capitals did not have their legs. They took a lot of penalties. The 4 penalties they took were stick penalties mostly because they're not moving their legs. I know Connolly's, Kuznetsov's. But on the flip side, the Capitals had 6 power plays themselves. So they had their chances to get back into the game, but they just didn't have it. They just didn't have the legs to get to the front of the net or make the plays. And Ottawa was fresher. They're a fast team. They're a motivated team. They're trying to solidify their place in their division. They're second place. They're chasing the Canadiens for first. So tip your hats to Ottawa. They played a great game. They did a good job of walling off the Caps from getting into the paint, if you will. They had a few chances where they did, but for the most part, the Caps just didn't have their legs. And hockey's an emotional game, and it's a game where you need to have your legs going, and the Caps had neither on Tuesday night.
Well, and they're also a team in Ottawa that you could see in the tournament. I mean, they're going to be in the tournament from what I can tell.
Yes, they'll definitely be there, and I don't know if you caught it or not, but there was a beautiful celebration from our old pal Brian Murray before the game, and anybody follows my Twitter feed, I posted some stuff out there.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up because, I mean, the night you and I met in 1985, Brian Murray was the coach. And, you and I used to sit in those press conferences back in the 80s, 30 years ago now. It's crazy, right? You and I have been knowing each other 32 years. It's crazy.
Right.
But either way, I mean, Brian Murray was the first coach of the Caps that I noticed and recognized and watched press conferences and covered him, and then, of course, Terry, his brother, and a real tragedy unfolding there in the Murray family for sure.
Yeah, Brian just doesn't look good. I mean, he's been battling colon cancer, and he'll be the first to tell you, get out and get screened, right? Because he did, right? He got it, and now it's spreading. He'll be the first to tell you, do it every 5 years. Get in there, get that colon cancer check. I can't say that enough. Get swabbed, It's an all-out war on cancer. Well, we all should be doing whatever we can to stop it. But Brian, it was different back then. Remember we'd sit in that room there in the Capitol Center, and Brian would sit down, and we had couches in there, and he'd sit there, and Brian would teach us the game. I mean, it was not adversarial.
That's true. That's very much true. Very much true.
Brian would sit there, and he would just talk, and we'd walk through, and we'd ask him about plays, and he'd teach. He taught me hockey. I know he taught you a lot about hockey, and then I had Terry, and I had Jim Schoenfeld, and I learned a lot from Jack and Todd Button and Jim along the way, all these coaches. But, Brian Murray was the first guy that really took the time, and he wanted you to learn the game so you knew how to cover it. And eventually I ended up working for the team. You kept staying in the media, and I learned so much from Brian. I can't say enough good things about the guy. And I tweeted last night, I've always felt like he was the king of class when it came to guys in the NHL. And I would always make a point that whenever he came to town with his teams, I'd go see him. John Keeley and I, who used to run on Frozen Block, did a 7-minute video with him back in 2010 talking about remember when the Caps came out with a DVD of the 10 greatest games, and we went back to the 80s with him on that. I posted that on my Twitter feed last night. I was just really happy that they did that celebration for Brian. I don't know how much time he has. He didn't look good. But I just can't say enough good things about that guy.
Yeah, and neither can Barry Trotz, because Trotz owes his whole career to Brian Murray. He wound up on a junior team with Brian Murray, who fell in love with him and brought him in and let him skate around as a potential NHL guy. And Barry was going to get sent out to the minors, and Brian told him, you should become a coach. And Trotz went back and got his degree, and now look at Barry Trotz. I mean, Barry Trotz is truly the highest branch on the tree of Brian Murray, right?
For sure, and Barry's learned a lot about what it means to be a team from Brian, and Craig Laughlin talked a lot on Tuesday night during the game, because let's face it, it was pretty obvious early on Ottawa was going to win, about Brian and how he was such a player's coach, and just knew how to get guys to play together as a team. And you go back, you look to Brian was here. Brian was the first step toward turning this around. Maybe Jack Button drafted Mike Gartner or Bobby Carpenter, and then David Poyle come in, and Brian Murray was here before David, and he started doing some good things coaching that year before. Thank goodness Abe took Brian instead of Don Cherry. And
well, those were the best Caps teams ever up until, let's say last year, right? Those mid-'80s, the teams that lost in 85, 86, 87, those were incredible hockey teams, right?
Yeah, they just never had a goalie. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've talked to Ole Kolzig, and I said, Ole, if you were 10 years older or 10 years younger, we might have a cup. Of course, we're fortunate to have Braden Holtby now, but
But it was Pete Peters, and it was Bob Mason, and it was Don Beaupre, and it was, whoever.
Al Jensen. They
Al
just,
Jensen,
they never
that's
had
right.
the guy, right? And you're going up against Billy Smith, and and Grant Fuhr was over in Edmonton, but they couldn't get by Billy Smith. And then in the early '90s, it was Tom Barrasso for the Penguins and Mike Richter for the Rangers, and just never had the goalie. So I felt bad for Brian. He did a lot of great things here, but he's this classy guy. Moved on, went to Detroit and Florida, and helped. He did a lot of great things for Anaheim. He drafted Corey Perry and Ryan Getzlaf, and they ended up winning a cup with those guys. So Brian hasn't won a cup, but he's helped a lot of teams do that. He did a lot of good things for Detroit before they broke through. So, I really would have liked to seen him win one. Back there was when they played Anaheim in 2007. I think that was his best chance, but he lost to a team he built in Anaheim. So, Brian, it was just that was the best part of last night was just seeing Brian and the celebration of him.
Ottawa Senators beat the Caps 3-0. It is really their first straight-up loss of 2017. They head off to New Jersey on Thursday night to take on the Devils before getting a little respite this weekend for the All-Star celebration. Ovechkin and Holtby will be heading west for that, and then they're on the island, which is not the island anymore, the island of Brooklyn, on Tuesday night taking on the Islanders to kick off the second half. You can find Ed's work, Ed Frankovic, out on Twitter, as well as Ed at WNST.net. I'm sure we'll be watching the All-Star game over the weekend. We'll be watching the Terps, watching the Wizards, and heading off to Super Bowl 51. Luke and I will be on the floor on Radio Row beginning Monday morning on our Facebook Live as well as our YouTube WNS TV channel, and, of course, in the Buy a Toyota Audio Vault 24 hours a day. From anywhere in the world, just download your TuneIn Radio app and point it toward the WNST, and you get us live anytime, anywhere. Morning newspaper ships to you at 7 a.m. each and every morning. It's all brought to you by Planet Fitness and PlanetFitness.com. And last but never least, breaking news happens first on the WNST text service. That's all brought to you by Coons Ford of Security Boulevard. Got big news. We're bringing Barry Trotz to Baltimore in March. We are running a puck bus to D.C. in March. We also have our road trips up for sale now for London. If you are a Ravens fan, you want to go over to jolly old London, go up to the road trips tab at WNST.net. We got a great trip. We got the best pricing. It's huge. We got the best pricing. Just go up and check it out. We'd love to have you along. Nasty at WNST.net finds me. Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Snapchat, Instagram, anywhere sports radio is served. We're there for you. We are WNST.net, AM 1570 and WNST Towson, Baltimore, and we never stop talking Baltimore sports.